Hello everybody and welcome to another video tutorial. In this tutorial I'm actually going to go and break down the different layers because I did do quite a bit of work on this image offline and I didn't record it, so I'm going to be posting it and attaching it to the playlist so you guys can see the finalized image. So as you can see, I've done quite a bit of work in comparison to where I left off in the live streams. So if I turn off some layers here, you'll see exactly where I left off here. Keep the line art on. Okay, so compared to the live stream, what I did do is, first of all, I did color in the line art. This helps give the image the look that it's receding a lot more. I do find this actually does help quite a bit in the finalized image if you do this. So it's something I've been starting to do on a lot of my layouts, and I've been going back and actually modifying some of my older ones so that they have that attribute as well. Now, although you won't even see most of these background elements, it is important that you still finish coloring them. So what I did add in is I used some brush effects on top of some of these layers here, especially on the top of the canopy, the grass here, and also the bushes here, to give it more of an organic feel. I painted in also the branches below the bushes and shaded those so that they look like they're actually below the foliage. And to lighten up all this area here, I actually added a separate layer, and this one's set to linear dodge. This helps force both the line art and the paintwork to recede more in the distance, and that's something that really does make a big difference in an image. So once I finished that, I started adding in the chairs. So I had very much the same process as in the background elements. The only difference here is that essentially I used more texture brushes and different texture brushes to give a more of a dirty, grimy feel to these. And I did it also for this one here. And for the table, once again, I did the exact same process. Now I did use a gradient for the table here to help force the line art and also the color work to look like it's receding more. Also, I added some additional colors in the patterns here to help differentiate the patterns a bit more. Now, what I find is easier is I tend to sample one color, make sure it's painted in correctly, and then I play with the hue and saturation of that color until I find one that works really well with that image, and I can also play with the transparencies. For the table items, I have quite a few layers here, so let me just turn off a bunch of them. So I started off with my basic fill layer, and this layer essentially, sometimes I'll use a color that I actually intend to use. I intended to use this color. I ended up changing it once the rest of it was painted, but it's still fill color that I can use. But at this point, what I'm actually using it for is to draw my attention to the areas I still haven't painted yet. So this is a trick you can use as well. You can also have the transparencies, but be careful with those because you can't always see unpainted areas. Having a bright fluorescent color forces your attention to those areas, which is kind of nice. So from that point on, I began painting in different areas and shading different areas as I went. And I'm sampling some of the colors and just modifying them slightly so that they still fit together as a whole. That is something you want to do and keep in mind, is that the colors have to work together. So that's something that you have to work at a lot just to make sure that it looks appropriate. So here I actually added, as you can see, some textures to anything that was metal. It's supposed to look gritty and unclean, and that's something that's really important to come across. More shading and some final shading here, because this is essentially the darkest portion on the table itself, so it's really important to make it look like that as well. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you guys soon, so thank you and take care.